Welcome back to Real Talk Podcast, episode 184. I'm your host, Nathan, and I'm joined by the man himself, Matthew Neves, to my left.
Thank you, thank you.
Today, we're going to be discussing the career of the late, great Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. It was really sad when I heard the news. I believe it was April 1st that it was announced. He was suffering through, was it throat cancer?
Yeah, throat cancer, which he had beat, but
hmm
had to get I forget the name of the procedure, but
Yeah,
a procedure where, you had to like talk through the hole in his throat.
right. And it ruined his voice
Yeah.
essentially. So he was going through it for about 10 years up until that point because he was diagnosed in 2014, I believe, 2015. So very tragic. But we wanted to talk about him because he's one of the few actors I feel like every decade he had a lot of underrated performances that not a lot of people talk about. And I'm glad they're talking about it now though.
Yeah.
Because it's like you almost forget that his career was so much more different than the people around the same time, like a Charlie Sheen or a Tom Cruise. He went above and beyond at many aspects, and yeah, we just wanted to get right into those types of movies.
Yeah, he chose some really interesting roles in his career for sure.
hmm
Um, and I think that's what makes him unique. Obviously, he had like a lot of different phases in his career.
Right.
Some interesting performances, like kind of in the '80s, that kind of got
hmm
him discovered,
Yeah.
and then in the '90s, where he felt like he's probably a top five actor in the world
Yeah,
at,
man.
at one point.
hmm
And then later in the 2000s, where a lot of
Not
straight
so
to
much.
DVD
Yeah.
movies, and
Yeah.
so it's definitely been an interesting ride of his career. We kind of want to just talk about Val, like what we like about him,
hmm
the performances that were memorable to us. So if maybe you're one of those people who are kind of getting into his filmography now,
hmm
or you're younger and you're learning about Val through streaming, we got you covered. We're gonna tell you where to start.
Hell, fucking yeah.
A little background on Val though before
hmm
we start.
Right.
Val obviously came up in the '80s. Doing theater and stuff like that. He was the youngest student to ever get accepted into Juilliard's drama program.
How old was he?
I'm not sure about the age exactly,
Probably
but
late teens then,
he
right?
must have been
God
in his
damn.
yeah, in his teens.
Very impressive.
Youngest guy to get into Juilliard.
hmm
Known for like heavy method acting,
Yes.
staying in character on and off set,
hmm
sometimes for a year.
that's one of the few actors to do it. Yeah.
His breakout role was a film called Top Secret in
Oh,
1984.
dude. Top Secret. Have you watched Top
I
Secret?
have not.
So this is like Zucker Brothers, Jim Abrams comedy. They just did Airplane. They did Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen, which got canceled after one season. So they're like, what do we do next? And Top Secret is, to me, one of the most overlooked parody films because Val Kilmer plays a character who's like an Elvis type,
Yeah.
and he goes to I believe he goes to Germany to play, and he finds out that there's like a conspiracy with the Nazis and stuff like that, and he tries to help out the daughter of a scientist. The scientist is played by Michael Goh, who was Alfred in Batman Forever. So it's like a
Wow.
pre-Batman Forever union as well. But yeah, if you fucking love Naked Gun and Airplane, you're gonna love Top Secret.
Top Secret.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, pretty bad poster, but
Was it the cow?
it's just a
You
cow.
know what's sad
Yeah.
about that poster is that the cow is a one-off gag that only lasts like a minute. Like it's not even the main focus. It's how they get into the camp.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
But would recommend despite the super lazy poster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it has decent ratings as well. It's a 7.2 on IMDb.
Oh yeah, it's a
He follows that one with a film called Real Genius.
that one I have not seen. I remember hearing good things about it as well though. From his character at least.
Yeah, where he plays like a smart, like a prodigy entering engineering college.
Mhm.
It's kind of that kind of story. It's
Right.
like an offbeat comedy romance kind of vibe.
Reminds me of like John Hughes, like weird science. You're probably gonna get something out of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then after that, his third film in the business is Top Gun.
Which is fucking
Is
insane.
Ice and Top Gun,
Iceman, man.
which he
What?
didn't want to play
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah.
And I'm sure he's very glad that he did
Mhm,
because that kind of changed his whole life.
mhm.
Him and Tom at the time, I mean, pretty similar in where they were in their careers,
Yeah,
right?
mhm. They were both, like, young actors who, got into a couple films here and there. I think before Top Gun, Cruise was in Risky Business and a few other movies, but nothing like this.
But
This was their big
So
film.
Cruz was already a little bit of a bigger star, probably from Risky Business.
I would say because Risky Business made as much money as like Real Genius or Top Secret. So like they didn't hit like big numbers
Okay.
until Top Gun, I would say. That was when, in my opinion, like Cruise and Val Kilmer could have went even bigger. Cruise to me went bigger than
Yeah, of
Val
course.
did, obviously, but
Yeah.
still, it was like a weird point in their careers where they were like, "All right, we're gonna fucking do this," and then the movie just biggest movie of the year, hands down. And they're both great in it. I mean, like, what more can you say about Top Gun and the OG? Like,
Yeah, that really kind of sparked his career. I mean, after that, he does a few kind of like nothing huge
no,
until really the early 90s. He gets to play Jim Morrison as, in The Doors,
I watched The
which you
Doors.
you had just seen, right?
I apologies to anyone who's a fan of Jim Morrison or The Doors. I don't listen to their music.
Yeah, I can't say I really do either. So like, I'm not really
Uh,
the one to comment on it, but
yeah,
I've seen Val's performance in it. It's pretty incredible.
he's amazing. He's amazing in it. The movie's okay. I think it's like by the numbers biopic. It doesn't do anything too crazy in
Right.
terms of its filmmaking. Crispin Glover plays Andy Warhol, which I don't know, to me is like one of the most genius castings because Crispin Glover's already fucking weird. So like
Yeah.
him playing Andy Warhol is like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But the film's a little too long, and all I really got out of it was Jim Morrison was a piece of shit to his wife, but he made good music and then he died from taking too many drugs. I'm like, yeah,
It
that
sounds
sounds
like 5 musical biopics. You just get
that's what I mean. And this is 1991. This is directed by Oliver Stone, and it just
Yeah.
feels like I've seen this movie like 5 or 6 times already. And the only highlight to me is Val giving it his all.
Right. Apparently Val, like, a year before this movie started filming, he was just dressing like Jim,
Mhm.
hanging out in places where Jim used to hang out,
Mhm.
and, like, fully method acting.
Yeah.
And after the film was done, I read that he had to seek, like, psychiatric help to, like, get
Jesus.
out of the character. He couldn't, like, find himself anymore, which is
That's
insane.
that goes beyond
Insane to do for a fucking like, to be for a Doors
for a
documentary.
Doors
Like,
documentary.
like, some people might be like, "What do you mean? It's a great documentary, or the Doors are a big band."
Yeah, yeah.
They are a big band,
Oh, yeah, they are.
but it's like for Val to go that method, I mean, I'm sure it, like
It goes beyond Austin Butler with Elvis. It goes beyond a
right.
lot of actors who also consider themselves method actors. I feel like Val was the one that, like, really pushed it to a limit that a lot of people were like, "What? Are you sure?" And I was like, "Fuck it." And I was like, "Okay, if you don't mind." But, like, After the Doors, though, is probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite performance from him as Doc Holliday in Tombstone.
Oh my
Have
god.
we talked about Tombstone?
We've never talked about Tombstone
Jesus
because
fucking
I just saw it and it's changed my life. We've talked about westerns. We talked about westerns a
Yeah,
couple of episodes back.
yeah.
How I am a rookie in the genre,
Mhm.
learning, going back, seeing the classics. I got to see Tombstone. What a movie
Mhm.
Tombstone is. It
Yep.
is such a it has classic written all over it.
Mhm.
The characters are so memorable.
Yep.
There's such incredible scenes in it. Doc Holliday is an all-time character, man.
Oh, absolutely. He brings the film to a whole other level. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like Tombstone will be known as the Western with the most mustaches. I've
Sure.
seen
Great
like,
mustaches in this movie.
god damn, you got
Great stashes.
Kurt Russell, Michael Biehn, Val Kilmer, obviously, Bill Paxton. Everyone has a fucking mustache, and they all look amazing in it, and they're all giving it their all. And it's just like Val Kilmer's character as Doc Holliday is in a whole other level because he looks like he's gonna die any minute.
But also he's like the biggest badass of the whole film.
Yeah.
And that's where you like you flip the like what you expect out of a western on its head, right?
Hmm.
It's like you don't expect the biggest badass character to be a guy who's half dead,
Yeah.
like who's sick with tuberculosis and could die any
Right.
minute.
Yeah.
He every time you look at him, he's pale as a ghost. He's fucking
Yep.
sweating buckets. But he's
Retire.
the coolest character ever. The scenes where he's playing poker.
Yeah. It's so
He's like,
good.
I don't think poker's your game.
Oh, yo,
How
yeah.
about a spelling contest?
Yeah, man. Heard you were retired. Retired? I'm in my prime.
That's so
The amount of lines that he says that are so iconic is because of his delivery. Because if you read the script on its own, I think Tombstone is It's not like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's
N
not even
no,
like, Unforgiven, the one
no.
we watched on
Yeah.
Movie of the Month. However, Kurt Russell and the cast and Val Kilmer, they're putting it their all. They're putting so much dedication into these characters. Like Wyatt Earp, that's Kurt Russell. He fucking owns that role. He
Oh,
knows what he's doing. He's like confident. Even if the lines don't always land, it's the charisma. It's
you're
the
right.
attitude.
The script barely matters
Yeah.
when these guys are out there doing their all. It's yeah, it's you believe their friendships,
Mhm.
you believe this world. Kurt Russell is, like, so good.
Yeah. I heard because the film was directed by a more veteran director back in the day. He was known to direct 80s action films like Rambo Part 2 or whatever, First Blood and Cobra with
Right.
Stallone. So some pretty schlocky movies. And around the time of Tombstone, he is credited as a director, but a lot of people were like, Kurt was in the camera too. Like
Right.
he was kind of directing all the actors and stuff because he knew everyone. He was more friendly with them. So if that's the case, I would say Kurt Russell's direction's pretty good.
I would say he knew what he was
He
doing,
kinda
man.
brings the film together compared to, like, what could have been,
Yeah.
with the story.
Yeah, you're definitely right about the dialogue not being as clever as some of the more classic westerns
Yeah.
or as well thought out, but it's just like everybody's giving it their all in this movie. It's quite simple, but like you just I don't know, you just like these guys. They're
Yeah.
just likable, you know?
Mhm.
The poster is iconic.
Yeah,
The
man.
scenes of just them four just like running like on horses and the
Yes.
it just hits different. Like this is a really special film and I think I mean all these characters are really memorable, but Doc Holliday I think the most of all,
Yeah.
especially because of his like death scene in the
Yeah.
end that really leaves you like touched. Like they really had an emotional moment.
Mhm.
If you ever cared about me, if you ever liked me one bit, you'll leave right now.
Fuck.
That scene hurt me, bro.
Yeah,
It
man.
really did, and I wasn't expecting a moment like that in this movie because it's not necessarily a movie that took itself too seriously.
Right. Exactly. It was more action
It's more
western.
action than like emotion.
Yeah. But it's nice that they had that for his character. I mean, like I don't know what more you can say other than, like, compared to Val's other roles, especially around this time, this was the best one. This was the one where he was like, he went above and beyond. It wasn't just because he wanted to do more method, it was because he found something different. He had a
Yeah.
dialect coach and he was like, "You know what? Let me just change. I'll just change into this whole other character." And, dude, the amount of people that still say, "I'm your Huckleberry." It's in his fucking memoir, dude. I gotta read that memoir someday. Like, I'm gonna finish up the Pacino one and then go right into Val
Oh
Kilmer's.
yeah, he has a written one as well.
Yeah, and it's called I'm Your Huckleberry. I'm like, "Fucking A,
Oh,
man."
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Val Kilmer in the '90s. This
I
is the
I feel
one.
like yeah, in the '90s, that's where Kilmer peaked, I would say,
Yeah,
because you get Tombstone, and 2 years later, he gets to be Batman and to work on Michael Mann's Heat.
in this. Yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah. 1995 for Val Kilmer is an electric year.
Damn, man.
Batman Forever and Heat
Yeah.
both come out. I mean, yeah, this is where he's at its height, but
Yeah.
also this is also where the controversy starts with his
Yeah.
career, right?
Mhm.
Whether you start to hear stuff about he's difficult to work with, you start
Mhm.
to hear stuff about him not showing up
Yeah.
or wasting time on set. It's like very Marlon Brando esque.
Which is funny because he worked on a film with Brando
Yeah.
a little bit after. I don't know how much we can talk about that film because just from the poster and synopsis, I'm like, "Oh my fucking
I
god."
don't even know how that movie got made.
Dude,
These 2 on set must have been
fucking disaster.
insane.
What was it called again? The
The
Island of
Island of Dr. Morneau.
Brno. Okay.
Yeah.
So fuck it, I'm just gonna talk about it. So a year after Heat and Batman Forever, we're gonna briefly talk about it. Val Kilmer was in a film. It was a remake of an old film from the 30s, Island Dr. Moreau. Marlon Brando was in it, so was he and a few other actors. Apparently, the original director, Richard Stanley, was on it. And then like 80% of the film was almost done. And the studio was like, actually, fuck you. And then they just fire him. And they get another director, John Frankenheimer, to stitch it.
Right.
Keep in mind, you got Marlon Brando. It's tough to work with on set. He didn't read any of his lines. He barely was on set. His stunt double was on set more than he was.
Yeah.
And Val Kilmer was not great to work with, either. He barely did remembered any of his lines. So you get two of those actors colliding with a director that doesn't really wanna be there, and you have a film that should not have been made.
Yeah,
Should not
should
have been
not
made
have
in the
been
first
made.
place. I mean, they go into it in more detail in the Val documentary, which I remember you saw recently as
Yeah,
well.
just a bit. They cover it a bit. They obviously try to I think, steer away from anything that controversy related
Fair enough,
in the
yeah.
doc, and they don't really get into like, yeah, like I guess the troubles on set and stuff. They do briefly, like they
Yeah.
show the director briefly, like a little moment with him and Brando, where Brando's like in like a hammock
He's like
and he looks
this.
half dead. I'm like, oh man,
No,
Marlon Brando at this time, like
yeah.
what a disaster it must have been to work with him.
It's pretty tough to watch at times. There is a documentary on the making of this film, if you're curious to watch it. It's basically like, what if Apocalypse Now was a bad movie and it just got worse and
I
worse?
kind of want to watch that more than I want to watch the film for some
Same,
reason. Like,
same. Because it's under Richard Stanley's perspective, who was the OG director. So he watched the film and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" But anyways, a little sidetrack, but that was Island Dr. Moreau. Going back to 1995, though,
yeah,
being Batman and being in Heat was like the peak for him in terms of not only box office, but critical acclaim for at least Heat.
Batman Forever. Quickly,
Yes.
we haven't really touched much on this movie ever.
Yeah.
How do you think Batman? Do you think Batman Forever has aged? Like, do you think it's better with age and enters that classic status, or has your opinion not changed on it since the first time you've seen it?
My opinion has not changed since the first time I saw it. I would say that the only redeeming factor, and I still stand by this, is the Bruce Wayne scenes, not the Batman scenes, because I feel like the Batman scenes get a little muddled in the shitty story of Riddler. But Bruce, I feel like Val Kilmer as Bruce and him talking about his internal struggles is something that could have been so much better
Yeah,
if they knew what they were doing with the story. I really do not like Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. I don't like how they introduced Robin. I don't really like Jim Carrey's The Riddler. It's just Jim Carrey again, which if you're a fan of Jim Carrey, that's fine, but
look,
it's all over the
I would
place.
have liked it more if there was a better story. The
Yeah.
stakes were a little set up a little bit more, or this film is just kind of a bit of a mess, but it's a mess with like one of the most interesting casts I've ever seen.
Arguably the most wasted actor to play Batman since Affleck.
I
I feel
know.
like Val Kilmer and Ben Affleck were the actors that were so good as Batman. It's just like unfortunate events
Yeah,
in terms of
unfortunate
production.
events. I mean, and like Joel Schumacher famously fucking hated Val Kilmer. I
Yeah.
think afterwards said in an interview, he said, "There's two things I'll never do. I'll never climb Mount Everest, and I'll never work with Val Kilmer again."
That's an odd one to name the first one, but I mean, I would agree on the first one.
That's a that's a crazy quote.
That's fucking nuts. I understand in terms of like, the way he was acting on set probably, he was like, "Oh, this is a comic book movie. I'm getting paid a lot because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
replacing Keaton."
Apparently, Tommy Lee Jones was hard to work with as well. So, like, them
Yeah.
two combined were like
Mhm.
maybe a reason why this movie is not what it could have been. But
Yeah.
the reality is the story's the problem.
The story's the
The writing is the
problem, the
problem.
writing's the problem. They doubled down on the goofiness because they were like, "We can't have it be like Batman Returns,
Right.
so we gotta make everyone" like, the thought of Two-Face having henchmen with the purple and orange jackets, and this is so fucking stupid.
It
The
is.
production design's so stupid. To me, like, Two-Face is the worst part of the film. I think Tommy Lee Jones gives a terrible performance as Two-Face compared to what we coulda gotten with Billy D. Williams.
Right.
Had a more subtle, more intimidating performance.
I wanted to see that so badly. Billy D. Williams Two Face
Dude,
would have hit so different.
look, you could have done the Joel Schumacher replacement. You could have done the Val Kilmer replacing Keaton. Bring back Billy D. Williams. Imagine Billy D. Williams and Val Kilmer Batman. That would have been good,
That would have been sick. Yeah.
right?
At
Because
least
like,
some good scenes for
because
sure.
Val Kilmer still is playing it straight. He's not like George Clooney, where Clooney does not give a shit. You can tell right away Clooney's just phoning it in.
Right.
Kilmer, at least, it's like, no, you feel like Bruce Wayne. You're actually trying.
Yeah, I agree. I
Mhm.
agree. He really did try. Batman Forever is an interesting movie, man. I don't know. I like the way some of it looks aesthetically.
Yes. Like
I
Gotham. Gotham looks nice.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
aesthetics I think are really cool. There's something there. I also think that sure, like yeah, they 180'd from the serious Batman to
Mhm.
like we're not doing that shit no more.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it cartoony.
Yeah.
I think you could make a cartoony Batman that works too.
I agree. No, I'm not.
Just it's not this movie.
It's not this movie, and they doubled down even more in Batman and Robin, dude.
Right.
They went fucking not even Adam West. They went fucking if the parody genre made a Batman film. That's what Batman and Robin is of what Batman is. But yeah, Batman Forever in terms of production design, I think Gotham looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's distinct. It's not like that's the benefit I would say about that film compared to the later Nolan films is that Gotham doesn't look like Gotham in those.
No,
It just looks like Chicago.
it's just Chicago.
Whereas this feels more like the balance. And I feel like Robert Pattinson's Batman is trying to lean more into that. Not super goofy, but like, hey,
Yeah.
we're Gotham.
Matt Reeves, yeah, like he did a
Mhm.
great job of making it feel like Gotham again.
Right.
Right.
Nothing too goofy like Batman Forever, but leaning more into that compared to the Nolan films at least. Something more distinct.
Yeah, I agree. And again, going back to like the cartoony Batman, and I think that's what's next. So I
Yeah,
think that this Matt Reeves trilogy is gonna come out by the time I'm 50 years old.
probably.
And once it does,
Yeah,
what else is there to do serious we want to see serious Batman again, grounded serious Batman again,
we're done.
Nolan trilogy, Matt Reeves trilogy. What else is there to do? But
Yeah.
try to do something like this again in the right way.
Yeah. The cool
I'm here for it.
there's potential with other iterations. Like Affleck was definitely going into the Justice League route, which could have worked if, they they tried,
Mhm. Yeah.
in reality. But again, we'll see what happens when we're 6 years old and they have the 12th Batman actor. Hey, look, at the end of the day, Kilmer, he's a Batman actor.
He
Rest in peace there, but if you're a Batman actor, that you're fucking there, man. I
he's
respect the hell out
he
of that. It's like
is
being
a
Bond.
yeah, it's a big deal,
It's
man.
like I can't deny that. But if I had to choose between which film was better in 1995, we gotta talk about motherfucking Heat.
Of course, we gotta talk about Heat. I love Val's character in Heat as well. I think it's
Mhm.
just such a great, like, supporting character.
His last scene, he doesn't say anything, and you know exactly how he feels
Yeah.
in that moment. Fun fact about the poster, because Val Kilmer's in the poster. They asked him, "Oh, your pay is gonna be not as big as De Niro, Pacino. Is that okay with you?" And he's like, "Only on one condition. I want to be on the fucking poster with them." And the studio was like, "Okay, we'll put you in the middle."
Really? So
Yeah,
that was a part of the negotiation of
yeah.
him being on the poster.
According to a Reddit Q&A that he did, he talked about that and how he was super grateful that he can tell his kids, like, I worked on a Pacino and De Niro film. And
That's cool, man. That's one of
like,
those moments that's just like, okay, it's not all about the money. Like,
Mhm.
like at the end of the day, he's a fan of film and wants to be on the poster with Pacino and De Niro.
Yeah,
Not because I think not because oh, it's gonna further my career, but
no,
more just like I want to tell my kids, I want to show my kids that like that's me on this poster with two of the greats.
fucking A, man. And his kids talk about that. It's like that's a milestone in terms of just the history. Um, Even going after the 90s, like you said, the 2000s were a little rough on him in terms
Yeah,
of direct to DVD movies, but there are some highlights,
for sure.
like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, just saw that as well.
I watched the commentary.
Yeah,
It's so good. Imagine like because Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer, they're both just their characters.
right.
So imagine their
Pretty
characters
much.
just doing the commentary on it with Shane Black there.
Yeah,
So Val Kilmer's like, "Oh, RDJ, he's
yeah.
doing his quips again."
I put on this movie. I'm like, oh, this is so RDJ. Like, this is the
Pre
most
Iron Man.
right. Free
Man.
Iron Man. It's a fun movie. It's like absurd. It's in all the right ways. I had a lot of fun with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
One of my favorite lines in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang from Val Kilmer is like, what was it? RDJ's just like, I have a $5 says that he might talk to you again or whatever. It's like, really? I got a 10 that says pass the salt. I got two quarters that are singing this song or whatever. And he's like, what? He's like, talking money. It's like, a talking monkey? Yeah, yeah, talking monkey. It's from the future. I'm like, fuck, man.
There's some fun writing in that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to that. And then after that, he was in a few films here and there. I'll always think of him as the villain in MacGruber as well. He's so
Yeah.
good in that. Shout out to MacGruber. I'll always bring that up.
Yeah, after that, it really is like it becomes cameo roles, and
Yeah.
the ones he's starring in are like the direct to DVD movies, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
Like I know he has a cameo role in Deja Vu, the Denzel movie. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Mhm. Little
Um,
Tony Scott reunion from Top Gun, which was nice.
right. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like his one to see in the 2000s, I say is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a shame that he didn't get enough roles like that in his later career. But I'm glad he got something out of it, especially, because of his throat cancer in the 2010s.
Yeah,
It was really hard for him to get more roles,
yeah.
obviously. So it was really nice that like Tom Cruise like put his foot down on Top Gun Maverick and said, "No, he's gonna be in this film," because the studio didn't want him at first.
That's crazy.
And Tom Cruise was like, If you're not putting him in it, I'm not gonna be in it, and I'm the reason why this film is."
And it made the film so much better because how else could they have generated emotion like that? Because when the lines like blur between real life and film,
Yeah. It's
real life
emotional.
and it's like you can't top that.
Yeah.
An emotional height of that film that's like, oh, you gave me the sickest action I've ever seen
Yeah.
when it comes to these planes, these jets, and everything.
Right.
It's the highest level, and then you're able to make me feel such strong emotion. It's what makes the film like one of the best sequels of all time.
Yeah.
Having that emotional piece to it too.
And Iceman's character too, this is where the tension comes into the film as well, and just life in general is like he dies in the movie.
Mhm.
He dies in the movie off screen, and it's like Cruise's character Maverick's realizing that, you know, I'm old too.
Yeah.
Am I gonna make it? Am I gonna help this kid out? Am I going to go beyond the future? Or is this my last ride?
Right.
And it's a reflection not only in the character, but actors from their generation. They're like, we're in our 60s, man. Some of us are dealing with illnesses. Some of us are just getting older, grandparents, fathers. It's like, this is life. And if this is our last shot, fuck it, man. Let's make it as memorable as when we fucking started. And that's why I always loved Val Kilmer's filmography was he never stood down. He always put 100%, even if
Right.
it was a fucking red box direct to DVD movie from
Exactly.
2000s.
So if you could recommend a Val Kilmer film from every decade, what would it be?
Okay.
80s?
80s, Top Secret. 90s, Heat. 2000s, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And his last film, please watch Top Gun Maverick. I think that's a great one. And if you want to know more about his life personally, watch the documentary Val. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. If you want to learn kind of like what he was dealing with after the throat cancer, really cool. Rest in peace, the great Val Kilmer.
Rest in peace.
Uh, Thank you for watching this episode of the Real Talk Podcast. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe to your boys. It means the world to us. And we'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Brush your hair.
Peace.